That suffocating knot in your chest when you're working at midnight to fix someone else's mistake? You think it's earning you a promotion. You are dead wrong. You are bleeding out your sanity for a maliciously calculated lie while mediocre coworkers steal your crown. I want you to close your eyes for a second and think about the last time you sat in the cold, flickering fluorescent light of your office long after everyone else had gone home. Remember that tight, suffocating knot in your chest as you fixed someone else's mistake, silently believing that your sacrifice was being recorded in some invisible ledger of justice. I am here to tell you something that will make you sick to your stomach, but it is the truth that will finally set you free. That ledger does not exist. The script you have been handed since childhood, to put your head down, outwork the room, smash your metrics, and politely wait for the crown to be placed on your head, is not just naive. It is a maliciously calculated lie. It is corporate brainwashing engineered with surgical precision to keep the machinery humming while you bleed out your youth and sanity for a reward that will never arrive. Vuangguang NF02 warmly welcomes you to a brutally honest awakening. And before we tear down the walls of this corporate matrix, I ask that you subscribe to the channel right now to support this work and fuel the deeply guarded truths we will uncover together. You are currently operating under the cruelest delusion of the modern working class, which is the myth of meritocracy. You desperately want to believe that the cream naturally rises to the top, but look around your floor tomorrow morning. Look at the people being elevated into the corner offices, the ones securing the titles of director, VP, and partner. Are they the ones bleeding over broken supply chains at midnight? Are they the sharpest, most competent minds in the room? Absolutely not. You are watching peers with shockingly mediocre technical skills but elite maneuvering capabilities step right over your exhausted body. You are trapped, burning out, and swallowing a toxic resentment that is entirely your own fault because you are playing by rules that the winners abandoned on day one. Let me introduce you to Daniel. Daniel is 32, the ultimate, tragic utility player in a mid-cap tech firm. When the servers collapse on a holiday weekend, Daniel is the one pulling the logs. When a vendor threatens to derail a massive quarterly deliverable, Daniel negotiates the ceasefire. He is brilliant, devastatingly loyal, and chronically exhausted. When a senior leadership role finally opened, his manager placed a comforting hand on his shoulder and fed him the ultimate poison, telling him to just keep doing what he was doing because his work spoke for itself. Daniel believed it, but his work remained mute. Marcus got the job. Marcus, who leaves precisely at 5 o'clock, whose sloppy spreadsheets Daniel quietly patches up in the dark. Marcus is sitting in the corner office right now, not because he is better, but because he refused to be the pacified working-class hero. Daniel swallowed the lie that competence equals visibility, but the agonizing reality is that your work has no voice. It is completely silent. If you do not actively give it a voice, the enterprise will harvest your silent labor, and someone else will gladly step up to the microphone to claim the echo. To understand exactly how Marcus stole that corner office while leaving the building precisely at 5 o'clock, we have to dissect the deeply uncomfortable psychology of corporate leadership. The executives sitting on the promotion committee do not have the time, the bandwidth, or the desire to put on a headlamp and descend into the operational coal mine to discover who is swinging the pickaxe the hardest. They are navigating their own exhausting political battles, and they gravitate toward the path of least cognitive resistance. When you act as the ultimate utility player, when you silently absorb the shockwaves of failing infrastructure and quiet the chaos before it reaches the boardroom, you are not proving your readiness for leadership. You are cementing your status as premium infrastructure. You do not promote the plumber to the architect's chair. You keep the plumber exactly where he is, because if you move him, the building floods. Marcus intuitively understood this brutal economic reality. He recognized that hard work, devoid of strategic packaging, is nothing more than a cheap commodity. While Daniel was in the trenches manually patching data leaks, Marcus was drafting a high-level summary email to the regional director, eloquently outlining the long-term strategic vulnerabilities of the current database architecture. Marcus did not fix the problem. He narrated it. He claimed the intellectual territory of the solution without ever getting grease on his hands. This is what you must internalize right now. The corporate machine does not reward the creator of value. It richly rewards the perceiver and communicator of value. The people writing your performance reviews are human beings driven by optics and narratives, not omniscient gods of fairness. If you are exhausted, resentful, and invisible, it is because you are speaking the language of labor in a room that only trades in the currency of leverage. You have bought into the romantic, blue-collar nobility of silent suffering, desperately hoping that your spreadsheet macros and late-night server patches will magically translate into executive presence. They will not. Your silence is a vacuum, and in the corporate world, Vacuums are immediately filled by the loudest, most politically savvy voices in the room. If you do not construct the narrative of your own value, someone else will happily harvest your data, slap their name on the presentation deck, and warmly accept the handshake from the CEO. Once you accept that this game is irrevocably rigged in favor of the storyteller, your first and most terrifying move is to intentionally stop catching every falling knife. You have developed a toxic, codependent relationship with your own reliability. You are addicted to the fleeting validation of being the resident savior, the only person who knows how to untangle the spaghetti code or pacify the unhinged client. But every time you play the martyr, you are actively sabotaging your own upward mobility. To break free from this matrix, you must deliberately let the fires burn just long enough for management to smell the smoke. I am not telling you to drop the ball maliciously or destroy the company, but I am demanding that you stop subsidizing systemic corporate failures with your personal health and weekend hours. When a project is under-resourced and crashing, your instinct is to work until 2 a.m. to hide the gap. Stop. Let the timeline slip. Let the deadline fracture. When the director demands to know why the deliverable is delayed, you look them in the eye and calmly explain the resource deficit, presenting it not as your personal failure, but as an operational bottleneck that requires their executive intervention. This is how you force the machine to acknowledge reality. This transition will make you feel sick with guilt at first because your entire professional identity is wrapped up in being undeniably useful. You must grieve the death of the pacified working-class hero within you. That hero is a ghost, a fabricated construct designed to keep you chained to a desk. You have to systematically dismantle your reputation as the reliable beast of burden. Start politely declining the grunt work that offers zero visibility. Delegate the invisible maintenance tasks or let them rot if they do not align with your strategic upward trajectory. Reclaim those stolen hours and use that newly liberated mental bandwidth to look at the chessboard from above. You are no longer the pawn sacrificing itself to protect the king. You are the player moving the pieces. Shedding the utility player identity is the most violently disruptive thing you can do to your career, and it is the only way to clear the stage for your own ambition. Letting go of the savior complex frees up the exact mental bandwidth you need to begin aggressively architecting your own executive presence and commanding the room. You can no longer afford to be a passenger in your own career progression. You must become a ruthless public relations firm of one. This is where you learn the art of stealing the microphone without looking like a megalomaniac. It begins with entirely changing the way you talk about what you do. When you are asked for an update, you do not list the 30 grueling tasks you completed like a glorified checklist. You speak exclusively in the language of business impact, revenue protected, costs optimized, risks mitigated, and strategic timelines accelerated. You do not say, "I spent 12 hours fixing the reporting bug." You say, "I identified and resolved a critical data vulnerability, successfully safeguarding the integrity of our Q3 financial deliverables." Do you feel the difference? One is a complaint from a tired worker. The other is a strategic update from a future partner. You must also begin practicing the art of strategic alignment. Look at the people 2 levels above you. What are they terrified of losing? What are their bonuses tied to? You need to attach your name directly to those specific outcomes. When you sit in cross-functional meetings, stop hiding in the back row, waiting to speak only when your narrow technical expertise is called upon. You must interject. Ask the penetrating, high-level questions that force the room to pause. Synthesize the chaotic arguments of others into a clear, single sentence, effectively claiming ownership of the consensus. Furthermore, you must aggressively build a brag document, a meticulous, undeniable record of your wins, quantified by hard metrics, which you will weaponize during every single quarterly review. Do not wait for your manager to remember what you did in February. They do not even remember what they had for breakfast yesterday. You hand them the exact script they need to justify your promotion to the finance committee. You are building an undeniable paper trail of excellence that cannot be ignored or claimed by the Marcus of your office. By broadcasting your value constantly and strategically, you transform your silent labor into a deafening echo that reverberates all the way up to the executive suite, making it absolutely impossible for them to deny you the crown. Executing this radical shift will feel deeply uncomfortable, perhaps even fraudulent at first, but that discomfort is simply the sensation of you finally waking up and stepping out of the matrix. For years, you have been conditioned to believe that corporate politics is a dirty, unethical game played only by narcissists and sociopaths. You thought that keeping your head down and avoiding the political arena made you morally superior. It did not make you morally superior. It made you a victim. The realization that meritocracy is a fable does not have to be a depressing descent into nihilism. It should be the most profoundly liberating epiphany of your adult life. Once you understand that the rules are entirely made up, you are finally free to bend them to your will. You are no longer waiting for a benevolent parent figure in human resources to bestow fairness upon you. You have taken the steering wheel. You are now operating as a sovereign entity, a mercenary of your own talent, trading your engineered visibility for maximum compensation and personal freedom. The ultimate victory here is not necessarily becoming the CEO, unless that is your genuine desire. The true victory is taking back your autonomy. It is walking out of those glass doors at 5 o'clock with zero guilt, knowing that your strategic maneuvers during the day have secured your position far better than a midnight shift ever could. It is looking at the frantic, burnt-out utility players around you with a quiet, compassionate understanding, knowing exactly the invisible cage they are trapped inside. Think back to that cold, flickering fluorescent light we talked about at the very beginning. You are never going to sit under it again in desperate, silent hope. You know the truth now. The ledger of justice is blank, so it is time to write your own name on it in bold ink. Stop bleeding for a machine that would replace you in a week if you died tomorrow. Learn the game, play it better than the sycophants, demand your absolute worth, and take back the youth and sanity they tried to steal from you. The illusion is shattered, the board is set, and it is entirely your move. In the corporate world, the romanticized ideal of meritocracy is a dangerous myth designed to keep you working endlessly while others claim the rewards. The hard truth is that organizations do not promote their most reliable, exhausted utility players. They promote the storytellers, the strategists, and those who master the art of visibility. If you silently absorb every operational crisis and work yourself to the bone to mask systemic failures, you only cement your status as indispensable, low-level infrastructure. You cannot wait for omniscient fairness. To break free, you must completely dismantle your savior complex. This means intentionally letting minor fires burn so management feels the heat, forcing them to acknowledge reality instead of relying on your late-night heroics. It also requires you to stop speaking the language of a tired laborer and start communicating in the executive currency of business impact, risk mitigation, and strategic growth. You must become your own ruthless public relations firm. By meticulously documenting your achievements, aligning your goals with the fears and bonuses of higher-ups, and confidently controlling the narrative in every meeting, you step out of the shadows. Embracing this reality is not a descent into unethical behavior. It is the ultimate liberation. It allows you to reclaim your stolen time, preserve your sanity, and operate as a sovereign player on the corporate chessboard. You stop bleeding for a machine that feels no loyalty to you and start engineering your own upward mobility and personal freedom. The lesson: in any hierarchy, perception dictates reality. Unspoken hard work is not a virtue, it is a career vulnerability. Your value does not speak for itself. It must be aggressively packaged, quantified, and broadcasted to the people who hold the keys to your advancement. Audit your workload. Identify the invisible maintenance tasks you do that offer zero strategic visibility. Systematically begin delegating, delaying, or dropping them. Stop being the office martyr. Build your brag document. Open a new document right now. Write down 3 recent problems you solved, but reframe them from a checklist of tasks into a narrative of business impact. For example, saved 15 hours of weekly manual labor by automating the data pipeline rather than wrote a Python script. Speak up. In your very next meeting, do not sit in silence. Prepare one high-level, strategic question beforehand and ask it confidently to establish your executive presence. What is one invisible or exhausting task you are currently doing at work that you know you need to let go of? Please share your perspective in the comments section below so we can all read, relate, and learn from each other's experiences. If you found this insight valuable, please hit the subscribe button. Your support directly fuels this channel and gives us the motivation to keep producing deep, impactful content for you.